Imagine waking up tomorrow with no electricity, no running water, no internet, no supermarkets, and no modern medicine. For most of us, that would feel impossible. But for people who lived 2,000 years ago, it was simply everyday life. They woke up with the sun, worked with their hands, and depended entirely on nature for survival. There were no alarms to wake them up, no refrigerators to store food, no cars to travel long distances. Yet somehow, millions of people built thriving civilizations, traded across continents, and created cultures that still influence our world today. So what was it really like to eat, work, and sleep 2,000 years ago? Let's travel back in time and discover the daily life of ordinary people in the ancient world. Background: 2,000 years ago, powerful civilizations stretched across the globe. The Roman Empire dominated much of Europe and the Mediterranean. Ancient China was ruled by powerful dynasties. Great kingdoms flourished in Africa, India, and the Americas. Although these societies were different, ordinary people shared many similar challenges. Life was centered around survival. Most people were farmers. Every season mattered. A poor harvest could mean hunger for an entire community. Unlike today, where food can be shipped from around the world, ancient people depended heavily on local crops and animals. Their lives followed the rhythms of nature. The rising sun signaled the beginning of work. The setting sun signaled the end of the day. How people ate. Food was one of the most important parts of daily life. For many families, bread was a staple food. In ancient Rome, bread was eaten almost every day. People also consumed vegetables, fruits, beans, olives, and grains. Meat was available. But for ordinary people it was often a luxury rather than an everyday meal. Many families raised chickens or kept small livestock when possible. Fishing was also important in communities near rivers, lakes, and coastlines. Preparing food required time and effort. There were no electric stoves or microwave ovens. Grain often had to be ground by hand before it could be turned into flour. Cooking usually involved open fires. Simple meals could take hours to prepare. Water was not always safe to drink. In some places, people drank diluted wine or other beverages because they were considered safer than untreated water. Food shortages were a constant threat. Droughts, floods, pests, or wars could destroy crops and leave entire regions struggling to survive. For ancient families, every meal represented hard work. How people worked. Work began early. Very early. Most people woke shortly after sunrise and started working almost immediately. Farming was the most common occupation. Farmers planted crops, cared for animals, repaired tools, and maintained fields. Their work changed with the seasons. Planting season was busy. Harvest season was even busier. A successful harvest could determine whether a family survived the winter. Not everyone worked on farms. Ancient cities were filled with craftsmen and skilled workers. Blacksmiths forged tools and weapons. Potters created containers for food and water. Carpenters built furniture and structures. Weavers produced clothing from wool, flax, and other materials. Merchants traveled between towns selling goods. Some journeys lasted weeks or even months. Roads were often rough and dangerous. Bandits, storms, and illness were constant risks. Children also worked. Many began helping their families from a young age. They learned farming, crafting, trading, or household responsibilities long before adulthood. Free time existed, but survival usually came first. Every member of the household contributed in some way. Homes and family life. Most ancient homes were simple. The average family did not live in palaces or grand villas. Many lived in small houses made from stone, mud brick, wood, or other local materials. Several family members often shared the same living space. Privacy was limited. Daily life revolved around the family. Parents, children, and sometimes grandparents lived together. Families worked together, ate together, and faced challenges together. Without modern entertainment, much of social life happened inside the community. Stories were shared orally. People gathered to celebrate festivals, religious events, and local traditions. These gatherings helped strengthen social bonds and preserve cultural knowledge. How people slept. As darkness approached, daily activity slowed down. Without electric lighting, nights were much darker than they are today. Oil lamps, candles, and fires provided limited light. These sources were expensive for many families. As a result, people often went to bed relatively early. Sleeping arrangements varied. Some wealthy individuals had comfortable beds. Many ordinary people slept on simple mats, straw-filled mattresses, or wooden platforms. Homes were often colder in winter and hotter in summer than modern houses. Noise from animals, weather, and crowded living conditions could make sleep difficult. Even so, sleep was essential. After a full day of physical labor, rest prepared people for another demanding day. Tomorrow would bring the same challenges all over again. Conclusion. Life 2,000 years ago was difficult, demanding, and often unpredictable. Every meal required effort. Every day required work. Every season brought uncertainty. Yet ancient people adapted. They built communities, developed skills, and created civilizations that shaped human history. Their world lacked modern technology, but it was rich with resilience, cooperation, and determination. The next time you turn on a light, open a refrigerator, or order food with a phone, remember this. For most of human history, none of those things existed. And yet our ancestors found a way to survive, build, and leave behind a legacy that still influences our lives today. That is what makes the ancient world so fascinating. It reminds us how far humanity has come, and how much we owe to those who came before us. Thank you.